And so we enter Endgame.
Well. Another Bungie showcase down. Another community feelings roller coaster in the bag, and I actually have a lot of thoughts about this one. And not only that, but my thoughts have been shifting pretty dramatically over this past week since the showcase. But before we jump into that, I just want to say a really quick thanks to anyone who has clicked on, liked, or commented on any of my videos in, let's say, the past month, 2 months. I've been feeling kind of rejuvenated with regards to making content on YouTube again for the first time in almost 2 years, really. So seeing all those green arrows and growth on the channel has been really cool. So thank you, everyone. Thanks very much. And yeah, let's move on. So, the showcase. Yeah. I'm just going to be honest. My initial response to that video, the showcase video, was that I guess you could say I felt very whelmed. Just whelmed. I left the showcase feeling a little content with the fact that I was actually not that hyped for what was coming, and that I might actually finally break free of this curse Destiny has had over me for like a decade. But on the other hand, I definitely felt a bit kind of deflated after watching, and there was no kind of "Where them Sir Pog" moment in the showcase or anything shocking like that for me. The whole thing kind of felt mid. I recall thinking back to previous showcases, like in the lead up to Beyond Light or for the Witch Queen expansion, and how I felt just super excited to dive in, into it and experience all the new features and toys they were bringing. This time around, I just didn't really feel that. But like I said in my intro, my feelings have shifted. So let's start with why I believe I initially felt a little disappointed with the showcase, and that will eventually lead us into why my thoughts have shifted quite a lot. For me, there was just no flagship feature or moment. The few new system or quality of life additions being added that were kind of already known to us, such as the in-game LFG, and there was just kind of nothing else major being added to shake up Destiny's structural features. We knew Bungie wasn't about to spill the beans about the Final Shape narrative, more than they already had. And what we learned in the showcase was very big picture, overview kind of stuff. Understandably so. Of course, nobody wants the entire story spoiled for them. Unless you're one of those weird hacker bros, I guess. And actually, for me, the most important thing about this showcase was not even the titular Final Shape content itself, but rather what was happening post the Final Shape. In this area, we learned very little, other than the seasonal model as it currently stands was being shaken up and restructured into 3 reportedly meatier episodes in the place of, the current 4 seasonal chunks. While we were all scrambling for info about the future of Destiny 2, this unfortunately likely requires a good deal of spoilerage when it comes to the Final Shape. I imagine that for Bungie to unveil their plans for the future to an adequate level so as to satiate the Ravenous Guardian community, it would also mean spoiling the overall outcomes from the war we were about to head into in this final saga expansion. So while I was a little upset that I didn't hear more about whether or not I will be booting up into orbit this time next year or not, I get it. It's fine. Finally, I was unwillingly shoehorned into knowing something about the existence of some leaks surrounding a new element class being added to the game. I know very little of what was contained in these apparent leaks other than they appeared convincing and the new element would take on the color red. As you probably know if you're watching this leak didn't materialize in the showcase, at least not yet anyway. In place of this, we received 3 new subclass or supers to each of the original light subclasses. Admittedly, they seem pretty fun.
Riding the lightning, like that instantaneous, like...
That was good, but I think it's more like...
And they probably will shake up gameplay in the final leg of Destiny 2 Light and Darkness Saga, but it has to be said that maybe adding new light supers could have been held back in place of juicing up stasis a little bit, as it still possesses only a single super for each character class, and has remained relatively untouched outside of the normal balance tuning for about 2 years now. This is largely due to the required updating of the light subclasses to bring them up to the level of stasis originally, and the recent introduction of Strand. So, as I watched the showcase and saw time slipping away with no new element, system overhaul, or detailed info about the franchise's future, I felt a little jaded. I thought everything that was shown was really solid, don't get me wrong. But there was nothing that jabbed me in the heart like an epinephrine injection like I was used to experiencing with these presentations. I then fell even more into this empty feeling after experiencing the post-show interview with Joe and the crew, which in my opinion felt more like a personalized rehash of the showcase in a less formal setting with some minor info points or context given around certain topics. I think I finished all the presentations with a sense of I got everything I expected but nothing I hoped for. I was going to play more Destiny 2 and that's fine, I guess. But you're probably wondering, what has changed? Why does my video title contrast basically everything I've said up to this point? I promise it's not clickbait. Things changed for me when I thought back to the Lightfall campaign and the overall release of that expansion. What was the major complaint you saw in the community? Or even better, what was your major complaint about Lightfall? In both cases, I can personally affirm that I felt the previous expansion suffered from an obvious lack of focus. It was paper-thin stories stretched over a barrage of new super abilities, sandbox changes, and an honestly empty patrol space. It was pretty though. Lightfall sought to win players over with flash and dazzle by holding up a shiny new toy in the form of Strand so that we wouldn't notice the hastily taped together floor at the base of the content release. I mentioned my disappointment with the lack of new shiny features in the final shape earlier in the video, and as the week progressed, this has slowly become something I think could be Bungie finally playing to their own strengths and recognizing that a tight, focused, and in their own words, linear finale is exactly what the community needs to send off the Light and Dark saga correctly. Despite the lukewarm response to the showcase in general, I think it actually could end up being something that will age quite well when we all look back on the final shape in years to come.
Hear me out.
No new subclasses, excluding the rehashed light classes for the moment, which for sure took less dev time than a brand new element, means no tutorial missions to explain its mechanics, and no need for super cool training montage cinematics. It also means no side quest-esque distractions shoehorned in to explain how the Guardian has now magically figured out how to wield the
Color red.
no major system or mechanic overhauls outside of the long-awaited LFG system means development time was likely, or hopefully, put into ensuring this campaign featured meaningful set-piece moments, mechanics, and powerful environmental design that we know Bungie is capable of. I am doubling down on this theory that we are heading into the most exciting Destiny campaign yet. After seeing the new play space being introduced to the final shape, the Pale Heart, this entire map feels like it was designed with the purpose of giving Bungie the opportunity to switch up their design style when it comes to storytelling and mission mechanics. The entire space is now linear in design, and Bungie literally stated that the campaign would be a relentless mission structure, ultimately climaxing with the player reaching the Witness's Tower a la Barad-dûr in Lord of the Rings. This inclusion of a nostalgia-heavy landscape is likely right now being attributed to copy-paste development by its, the less intelligent members of our species, but let's not judge them, for they know no better. This nostalgia-laden playspace will allow Bungie to tap into player memories from the bygone days, allow almost total freedom when it comes to environmental design due to the dreamlike rules of the innards of the Traveller, and finally providing Bungie with an exciting, linear, progressive, and fresh take on a Destiny 2 campaign. Bungie have delivered some of the best campaign and narrative experiences in my life with FPS games in the Halo trilogy. I have missed that sense of wonder and investment in Destiny moment-to-moment storytelling for years now, but I think this may be the best shot we have at them getting back on track with that. So, if Bungie are, as I believe, choosing to omit changes to the core Destiny formula in lieu of delivering a true spectacle in the finale, I am all here for it. Let's use everything in Destiny 2's arsenal right now to fuel a final showcase of what Bungie are capable of doing, rather than trying to constantly move the dial while simultaneously pushing the narrative and the player experience forward. We might not know much about what's about to happen because the changes are going to be so fundamental that for Bungie to talk about them would simply just spoil everything. I believe the world inside Destiny is lining up for a monumental shift post the final shape raid. I think Bungie is relying on the impact of their new narrative, of the effects of the new raid on the universe and whatever else they've cooked up to carry community expectations forward. Maybe we just need to take a leap of faith for now and just hope that they can deliver it for us. And of course, it goes without saying, this could all blow back in my face, in our face, but I prefer to be hopeful, to look forward to the final shape rather than just poke holes in what little we do actually know about it. And I get it. Bungie maybe don't deserve this, maybe they don't deserve our trust, but it's the last stretch. I'm just gonna do it for them. I'm gonna put my neck on the line. I'm just gonna cross my fingers and hope for the best. Having said all of this, it doesn't really change my stance about leaving Destiny 2 behind once the final shape concludes the Light and Dark saga. You never know. You just never know. But I'm still hoping that, this is my bookend. I also want to note that I deliberately did not mention the new seasonal update, Season of the Witch, in this video, because from what I've seen so far, it's f***ing awesome, and I want to play more before I have anything to say on it, if I have anything to say on it. Maybe that's the next video, who knows. Anyway, thanks everyone for listening. If you made it this far, I really would appreciate you throwing a like at the video. It helps me push these videos to a bigger audience, helps everything grow, and it's just a click. Thanks so much, see you in the next one. Reaching the Witness's Tower, ultimately